Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Hello, Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back to today's DAF Hayomi Maseches KIDDUSHIN, DAF Samach Daled. We are up to the Mishnah, which is 2 lines off the top of the Amud, and continuing yesterday's sugya regarding a father's ne'emanus, his trustworthiness, when he claims that he was mekadesh his young daughter, a daughter who is a ktana, who is within his jurisdiction to be mekadesh. So today we're going to learn the parameters and limitations of that ne'emanus. Says the Mishnah, Kiddashti es biti. A father gets up and claims that he was mekadesh his daughter to a man. Or he says, further, Kiddashtiya v'gerashtiya. Kishe I was mekadesh her and I was involved in her divorce as well. Rashi says, Kibalti es kita. As we know, a father can be mekabel, a get for his young daughter as well. And what's her status today? Varei iktana, she's still iktana at this time of declaration. In both cases, whether he's only claiming kiddushin or kiddushin and gerushin, which actually will now affect her in 2 ways. See, kiddushin makes her an eshes ish and makes her usher on everybody else. Kiddashtiya v'gerashtiya takes it a step further. She's now divorced and puzzled to marry a kohen. In both cases, the Mishnah says, Ne'eman, he's trusted, he's believed. However, in the following 2 cases, he's not believed. Kiddashtiya v'gerashtiya k'shiktana. Sure, I was involved in her kiddushin and gerushin way back when she was a ktana, but today she's an adult. Vari gedola. In this case, einoi neman, he is not believed any longer. Or nish beisu v'tisya. You should know that she was taken into captivity amongst the non-Jews, and I redeemed her. So basically, he's making her apostle from marrying a kohen, which is the halacha regarding an isha who was in this type of situation. We're concerned about interaction with the guy. So basically, if we believe him, if we take his word for fact, then she would be apostle for kohen. So Mishnah says he's not believed. Bein shehi ktana, bein shehi gdoila, whether she's now a ktana or a gdoila, in a neman, he's not believed. And the Gemara will ask the obvious question, Ma'ishna reisha, why in the first set of cases do we believe him? Well, Ma'ishna reisha seifa, whereas in the second set of cases we don't believe him. Answer number 1. Reisha b'yadei. You know, in the reisha when she's still a ktana, it is b'yadei, within his ability to go be mekadesh today and go accept a get for her today. So when it's b'yadei, he's believed him. Rashi says, Malik l'shake, why would he just tell us stories? He could just do it right now, if he wishes to. So we believe it as fact. Seifa la b'yadei, whereas in the seifa, when she's a gdoila, it's not in his power to be mekadesh her. Or certainly the case of shvuya, it's not in his ability to give her over to the Avid Kechab. So he can't be involved. It's not under his control, and therefore, lacking this aspect of biyada, he takes away any form of ne'emanus, he's not believed. Seifa la biyada. Asks the Gemara, what do you mean? You're looking for a way. You're looking for a possibility where a father can actually make his daughter usher from marrying a kohen. That's the point, right? It's not biyada. It is biyada. He has another very easy option to change her status vis-a-vis a kohen. V'loi, v'arei biyada l'asiyah l'cholol. Right? So we're asking on the case of nishbeis u'pedisiyah. That's the focus now. So he claims she was taken into captivity, etc. Mishnah says even if she's currently still like Tana, he's not believed. And we're assuming because he has no control over those events. He can't make her asr l'kohen. Therefore he has no ne'emanus. He can. If she's still a Tana, he can marry her off to a cholol, a fellow who was born from an inappropriate kahuna matchup. Rashi says like Kohen Gadol who married an almana, who's asur to him. That child is called a cholol, a lashon of chilul, of halal, vacuum. He's missing the kahuna. He's missing kedushas kahuna. And the fact is, when an ordinary isha Yisraelis marries a cholol, she becomes puzzle from further marrying a kohen later on. So this father, if he chooses, he can take this tana, marry off to his local cholol down the block, which makes her usher to marry a kohen subsequently. so he can affect that change in her. The answer is, it doesn't affect her status regarding marrying Kohen later on. The answer is, Rabbi Yehuda ben Yehuda. We're going like this shita. To Amar, B'nais Yisrael mikvah tahar l'chalal. Even if a Bas Yisrael marries a chalal, you should know that the children are perfectly fine. The Isha is like a mikvah for the zera of the husband, basically the father's chalal status has no effect on his later children, and likewise, it has no effect on her, because that's the package. If it doesn't affect your kids, it doesn't affect your wife. So she remains in her former status. She doesn't become disqualified from kahuna, even if she marries a chalal. Well, here's another option. What if he decides to marry his daughter off to a mamzer? Now Rashi explains, of course, it's usher to do so, but after all, we're working with the assumption that despite its isser, the kiddushin is still going to take effect. Kiddushin is still teifis. In which case, after having interacted with a mamzer, she becomes usher for marrying a kohen. So he has that ability. It's biyadai. The answer is no. The kiddushin would not take effect. Rabbi Akiva, we're going with that sheet. The Amar ein kiddushin teifsin, even b'chayav lav. Even though there's only an isser lav, not kares or misas bet, even a simple lav prevents kiddushin from taking effect. Well, okay, let's find a different type of isser asay, which will have the same effect on her and is under the father's control to do. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, almana. Let's say this young daughter is already an almana from a previous marriage. He can go marry her lekoyen gadol. Rabbi Simoy, and we're going with Rabbi Simoy's version of Rabbi Akiva's shita that takes it a step further. The Sanya Rabbi Simoy Aimer mina koil, regarding any type of illegitimate marriage, even an isra asay or isra Rabbi Akiva mamzer. Rabbi Akiva would consider the child a mamzer, which basically means if the child is a mamzer and the condition doesn't take effect, except for chutz mi'almana l'kohen gadol, except for one unique case. Almana l'kohen gadol, there we say, the child is not a mamzer, in which case the condition does take effect, but she becomes usher for marrying a kohen. She becomes disqualified, she becomes puzzle. Chutz mi'almana l'kohen gadol, there we make an exception, the condition can take effect. Sharei Amar Torah specifies, look, you, Mr. Kohen gadol, don't marry an almana, lo yikach, v'lo yichalal, don't, make her a chalala. Chalalam oisa vein oisa mamzerim. But the Torah is saying v'lo yichalal, it basically limits his reach, his effect. The almana married to a kohen gadol will at worst become a chalala, and likewise their children, but not mamzerim. In which case, that's an indication that the kiddushin is teifis, because it's sort of a flip side. Mamzer equals no kiddushin. If there is no mamzer, there is yes kiddushin. So that's what father can do. He can take this almana daughter, young daughter, send her off to the local kohen gadol, in which case the kiddushin technically will be chal, making her a chalala, making her a pastor from kahuna. So it's fully biyadai. Answer is like this. This mission is following a shita that holds that kiddushin is not going to take effect even in this case. Rabbi Yeshiva, the Amar, who said like this, Boy, let's go, call out on Akiva ben Yosef. That's Rabbi Akiva. Look, he's taking it so far. He's stretching the halacha of mamzer to such an extent. Any type of illegitimate interaction, even almana l'kohen gadol, has a very detrimental effect. Havlad mamzer, child becomes a mamzer. In which case, on the flip side, the kiddushin is not chal. In which case, father has no ability to affect such a marriage. That answers our question. 1 second, says the Gemara. 1 second. Hanichla Rabbi Shevav. That's only if Rabbi Shevav is sort of stating his own opinion. All illegitimate marriages are mamzer creators, and kiddushin will not be teifes according to Rabbi Akiva. If he's just stating his own opinion, he's sort of making a broad brush statement. According to Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef, all situations lead to this result. Shaper, then you have a good answer. Basically, that precludes any sort of kiddushin by any sort of avera. But there's another alternate interpretation of Rabbi Yeshivav's sort of complaint. He was just trying to sort of oppose Rabbi Simoy's assertion that almana l'kohen gadol is sort of safe, meaning Kiddushin can be teifis, and he was coming to add, no, you should know, according to Rekiva, even Alman Kohen Gadol isn't in the same boat, there's no Kiddushin, there is Mamzer. He was just trying to undo that notion. But even he agreed that, by Alman Kohen Gadol, that's Isser Kahuna, okay, that's terrible, but when it comes to, it has that effect. But let's say you find me another type of marriage which is, let's say, simply an Isser Asay, not Kahuna related. For instance, marrying a Mitzri, a Doimi, right? So that's a straightforward Mitzvah Asay, don't do that. And, I have no reason to believe that even according to Rabbi Simoy, that marriage can be Chal, that condition can be Teifis, in which case the child is not a Mamzer, in which case, back to our question. Rabbi Yehuda, so father, in our Mishnah, can marry off his young daughter to a questionable situation, a chayav yaseh, like an Egyptian convert within 3 generations, or an adoimi in a similar situation, which is usher because of mitzvah aseh. It's a lower level prohibition, in which case the Kiddushin can be teifis, but that interaction will have some detrimental effect on this aktano, make her asal kahuna. So we see father has that biyada, he has that koyach. Amar Rav Ashi, v'tizbura, reisha mishum de biyadahu. Let's just go back to square one. Question was, we have 2 parts to the Mishnah. The reisha, where he claims kiddashtia, he's believed. He claims kiddashtia v'gerashtia, she's pasal kuna, he's believed. In the seifa, he's not believed because it's not. We said because it's not biyadai. Is that really correct? V'tizbura reisha mishum de biyadahu. Do you mean to say that the reason why in the reisha he's believed to claim kiddashtia or kiddashtia with gerashtia is believed because it's in his control to do so? Nihida biyada lekacha, true. He has the right to be mekadosh, or at will. Biyada lekacha, can he affect her divorce? That's not father's business. He can't make the husband divorce her, so that doesn't fall under biyadai. So that can't be the reason for the Mishnah. V'ayid, another question. Ilu amar, hi, delenicha begava. Even regarding Kiddushin, it's not so simple. Suppose this fellow, you need a fellow to be mekadosh your daughter. Let's say this fellow says, I'm not interested. Can you force him? Can the father just push it through against his will? Of course not. So the whole, this whole notion of biyada, he says Rav Ashi, is questionable. El Amar Rav Ashi, says Rav Ashi, I'll give you a very simple explanation to both parts of the Mishnah. You know the differences between the Reish and the Seifa? It's a pasuk, a straightforward halacha. El Amar Rav Ashi, Reisha, Rachmana, Hemnei Rav Huna. Damar Huna Marav. The Torah believes the father, plain and simple. Rav Huna Marav, Damar Huna Marav, Minayin la'av shenemon la'eser es bita min haTorah. How do we know that a father has the ability to declare Isra on his daughter upon claiming that she was married by him? Shenemar es bita nosati lish hazeh. Father gets up and says, look, my daughter, I married her off. Now, when he says Le'ish, without adding specifics or identifying the husband, Asra. So basically he's making her Asra on anybody, since her husband's identity is as yet unknown. And when he added the word Hazeh, identifying this man as the husband, Hazeh Hitira. So basically he's taking off 99% of the Isser. I'm sorry, she's taking off 1% of the Isser. She can stay with this man, but with nobody else. So bottom line, it's clear from the pasuk that the Torah empowers father to declare his daughter as a married woman, plain and simple. It's an emanus. And likewise, says the Ritva, if within a short period, teich kedei dibur, it's in the same breath, so to speak, he says, I married her off and I also divorced her. I accepted get for her. That's called pesha asa pesha hitter. The same mouth that made Isra made a hitter. Either you believe the whole package or you believe nothing. It's a svara. Either you believe him all or nothing. So that explains the first 2 parts of the Mishnah. Kiddashtia is neman pasuk. He adds girashtia within the same sentence. He's believed entirely that in fact both events took place. But regarding the second part of the Mishnah, she was taken into captivity. We don't find anywhere in the Torah that a father can claim as such and affect her kuna status. But Nisuin, Hemnei Rachman, regarding marriage, Torah gives him ne'emanos. Lav. When it comes to Shvuya, he's not believed. So Rav Ashi provides a very simple, straightforward teretz to the Mishnah. We have two parts to the Mishnah. Part number one, we have a Ketana today, whose father is claiming she was in Skadish, or in Skadish, V'niz Garish. He's Neman. Pasuk. But if she's already Gdoila, he's not Neman. Pasuk speaking about Aktana. Or he claims, even by Aktana, she was Nishbeis, he's not believed. Says the Mishnah. Misha Amar B'shas Misaso Yesh Li Banim. Say we proceed to a similar situation where a fellow is declaring facts. In some cases he's believed, in some cases not. And this is specific to the Yivam concern. Right? Concerned that if he passes on without kids, his wife will have to go and marry his brother, and fulfillment of mitzvahs Yivam. So he says, look, I have children. You should know I have, perhaps from another wife. Right? He tells his wife, don't worry about Yivam. You're not going to have Yivam. Neman, he's believed. And there is no Yivam or Chalitza. But if he was presumed to have no brothers, which basically preempts mitzvah Yivam, now he claims otherwise. I have brothers somewhere. We don't believe him. So basically it would seem, Alma says the more would seem from the Mishnah, that he's only believed to make things easier for her, not more difficult. Alma neman lahatir, ve'en neman la'esar. He's Neman when he says, he has kids, which basically exempts her from Yivam, but not when he says, I'm introducing some new brothers to the scene. He's not Neman because that's going to make her Asr and liable to Yivam. Perhaps our Mishnah is not in line with Rabbi Nassan Shita, who tells us that he's Neman even when it comes to Isser, to Sanya. Here we have a slightly different case. He changed his story in the middle. So when he married her, B'shas KIDDUSHIN, he says, don't worry, there will be no Yivam down the road. No concern. Amar yesh li banim. He claims to have children. But then, B'shas Misa, upon his death, he changed his story. Amar, he says, no, sorry, ain't li banim. He denied the fact that he has kids. Or, same thing regarding brothers, right? The two factors at play. Yes, brothers, no brothers. Yes, children, no children. B'shas Kiddush, when he married her, Amar, he told her, Ein lo banim, ein lo yacham. He claimed he had no brothers, don't worry about Yivam. B'shas Misa, Amar yesh lo yacham. But during Misa, he says, he has brothers, and she needs to do Yivam. What does Rebbe hold? In both cases, he's not believed to make it difficult for her. Neman lahater ve'en neman la'esor. So basically, we believe what he said way back when he married her. If it was, I have kids, no Yivam, or I have no brothers, no Yivam, he's believed on that, but not on today's account. Divrei Rebbe. Rebbe Nassan Omer, no. Af neman lesser. We have to believe, even though he changed his story, B'shas Misa, and we have to deem her as an Isha, Yivama, who cannot marry out until she addresses the Yivam situation. And this is seemingly inconsistent with our Mishnah, that we don't believe when he says Isra. Amar Rava. So Rava says, well, there's a very fundamental difference between our Mishnah and this Brisa. Shani Hasam. In the Brisa, it's very different, because he changed his story when he was passing away. And that gives sort of credibility to his current statement. Shani Hasam, since he's changing his story, B'shas Misa. The assumption is that he's being honest now. Rashi says he doesn't want, leave the world, with this on his record. So it's probable that what he's saying now is true and correct. Given the B'shas Misa, we assume what he's saying now is accurate. Amalei Abaye. So Abaye responds, if anything, the opposite. If anything, you have reason to go the other way. Look. In the Brisa, where he's basically he's opposing, he's undoing his earlier statement, which he made when he married her, right? Still we say, Amris Kushta Kamar, you're assuming that his current declaration, today's statement, is accurate. Certainly the Mishnah, where there was no change of story, it was a one-time declaration, one-time promise to her. He's not negating any former statements. Like Koshkin doesn't lend to reason that we believe what he says as true and accurate. Elan Rabbi says like this. Let me propose a pshat to reconcile the Mishnah and the Bryce. Two different scenarios. It's all a question of what was the preconceived notion before he got up and made this statement. Masnisa in our Mishnah was speaking the loy muchzaklan ba'achi v'loy muchzaklan b'bni. We don't know that b'shas this person is dying. We don't know anything about any brothers. We assume he has no brothers, which basically means no yivim. We assume that he also has no children. We don't know of any children that he has. So, if you combine both factors, no children and no brothers, so it's sort of they equalize each other, and there's no yivim, right? So there we say, Kivin loy musaklan bibnei v'loy b'achi, since he's not known to have brothers or children. So when he gets up and he says, Amar yeshli banim, I have sons, which basically doesn't change her status. Because, look, you see, yes, sons equals no yivam. And she was assumed to be a non-yivama due to the fact that there were no sons and no brothers. So he's not looking to change her status. Now, so he's believed. He's pretty much just maintaining her status. And here comes Rashi's chiddush, listen to this. And once she's established, once his declaration has been accepted as true, because he wasn't really looking to change her status, right? Because look, starting point was no yivim for this woman. True, there was no banim known, but no brothers either. So she's in a non-yivim situation. Now he comes forth and says, I happen to have children. Right? So again, all he's doing is maintaining her status. So now even if a brother comes along and says, look, by the way, I'm the brother of that fellow, and I need to do yivim, we leave it status quo because we've already established. He's going to come and say, look, you thought there were no brothers? I'm the brother. Yes, yivim. No. We leave it alone because we've already established that she has children as a result of the father's declaration, which was taken as fact because of the svara that we said, because he wasn't looking to change any status. So it's sort of a chain reaction. Her status was no yivim, and even though he added and came and told us about children, it's still maintaining that status. So now, even if another brother shows up and sort of looks to change her status, look, you thought there were no brothers? I'm the brother. Too bad, because the husband had already convinced us that he has children. So, no children with no brothers equals yes brother, yes children. So basically, she's still free. So that's the first case in the Mishnah. Yeshli banim is neman, because he's maintaining her non-yibum status. But if he says yeshli achim, and we had assumed that she has no brother, that he had no brothers, and no yibum in the works, right? And he gets up and says, no, I have brothers. And he's not believed, because he has no koyach to change her status, to oppose the chazaka of a non-yibum situation. Lav kol kamina de asar lo kuli alma. You can't just go make her asar on everybody. So that perfectly explains the Mishnah. There was a chazaka, no brothers, no children, which means no yibum. So it depends what he's saying today. B'shas misa, yeshli banim, he's naman, because he's maintaining that chazaka. But if he's introducing new brothers, yeshli achim, which changes her status, makes her a yivama, he's not believed. So that's the Mishnah. Maintain status, fine. Change status, no. Brisa, whereas the Brisa, which features a machlokes between Rabbi and Rabbi Nassan, is speaking about a slightly different case. The starting point was different. The starting point was, yes, she's going to be a Yavama if this fellow passes away without children. The muchzaklon ba'achi, The assumption was, there was no Eidim, Rashi said, but it was just a chazaka. We heard about, this was our picture of this profile. He has brothers, which make for a Yibum situation, and he has no sons, which is a perfect Yibum formula, right? So that was the chazaka going into this marriage. Now, there were two parts to his input, the husband's input. B'shas Kiddushin, he claimed that, by the way, you're not going to have Yibum if I pass away. He said, I have Yesh Lebanim, right? So he's changing our perception about his profile. Damrinos, in this case, we say, we believe him. Because what's he trying to do? He's trying to comfort her. He's trying to assure her that even when I pass on, there won't be Yibum. If he's really misstating the truth about the existence of his children, he could have just come up with a very simple solution to preempt any further Yibum. Mali l'shaka, why would he lie that he has sons? Maika Amar, what's he trying to accomplish? Lemifta Rabbi Yavam? He's trying to exempt her. Spare her from the Yavam? Well, look, Matzi Amar, all he needs to do now is say, I'll arrange a get for you, which will be applied in case I'll give it to you right before I pass away. So this way you're a grusha, and there will be no Yibum regardless. So that's a strong svara. It's called a migu. Mali l'shaki. Why would he lie? And we see in the whole sugya that even though typically davar shebe'erva, any marriage-related testimonies requires typically two eidim, but here he's speaking about his situation. I have children, and ultimately it's going to affect her status later on, but it's not a direct testimony on her status. So he's believed on that. We take it as fact. He has children, and therefore ultimately when he dies, there's no yibum. Okay, so all agree that at this point we believe him. The question is what happens later. When upon his death, he changes his story. And he reneges on that declaration. Now he's saying, I have no banim, sorry. I misled you. So now we have a difference of opinion between Rebbe, who takes on his new fact as true. We go back to the earlier status and we assume that there were no sons and she's going to go to Yibum. Why? Rebbe Savar Mali L'Shaki Ke'edim Dom. No, Rebbe will hold that actually we trust him. Rebbe Savar Mali L'Shaki Ke'edim Dom. You see, initially when he told her at the point of Kiddushin that I have Banim, that Mali L'Shakar has the power like Edim. Basically what it means to say is we accept it as fact. Because he has full ne'emanos. Like we explained, otherwise he can just give her a get. We accept it as fact, and that undoes that prior notion. Let's assume that she was going to be slated for Yivum, that there were no sons. No, we believe him that there are, that he has children. So that undoes, that obliterates the prior chazaka. It changes her status. She is not a potential Yivama, because this fellow claims to have children. V'osu Edom, v'akri chazaka. And this declaration, which is tantamount to Edom, meaning we accept it as fact, undoes that previous notion. She is now not slated for Yivam. Okay? So now, when Bishas Misasai, upon his passing, he changes the story. Oh no, sorry, I don't have any kids. Too late. Too late. It's been established that he has kids, that she's not going to be a Yavama. Rabbi Nosson Savar, Mali L'Shakar, this Svara, Mali L'Shakar, why would I have to lie? And basically, that ne'emanos that we give him, when he declared at the point of Kiddushin that he has Banim, true, we believe him, but in limited fashion. It's not like, it doesn't have the same status, and ne'emanos like Edom. Ki chazaka dami. It's like a chazaka, basically. It gives us strong reason to believe that, her status has changed and she's not going to be Yavama. But it's not etched in stone. So, had he just remained silent and not change the story later, we just assume that it's true, and, why would a person just lie for something that has no gain? Okay, but once he comes back later and changes the story, that chazaka, that declaration during Kiddushin, at most has a din of chazaka, not like Edom. It has a lower level of ne'emanos, and it doesn't really undo completely her former status, which was presumed to be potential Yavama. So it challenges it, it questions it, but doesn't completely obliterate it. It doesn't erase it off the record. We still have some sort of remnant of suspicion that she was really going to be a Yavama. So now, when he confirms it, when he changes the story, B'shas Misa, he says, by the way, I was just totally lying. I have no banim. So that restores her to her original chazaka, to her original status, which preceded this marriage. It was assumed that she's going to be a Yavama, and now she's a Yavama. Okay, bottom line, we have a Mishnah and a Bryce. The way Abai explained it, in the Mishnah there was a chazaka of no Yivam, and since he's merely coming to maintain that, he's Neman. But he's trying to change that, he's not Neman. In the Bryce, which is not B'shas Misasai, so now he's healthy and strong, he can give her a get. The Mishnah can't give her a get, doesn't have that ability, but here, he can give her a get. So now, even though there was a chazaka that she's going to be Yavama, he can change that chazaka by saying, look, believe me that she's not going to be Yavama, believe me that I have children, otherwise I can just give her a get, prepare a get, which I will give later on, and that will preempt any Yivam. So that's Ne'emanos. The question is how far it goes, and does it preempt any further change of story? That's Machlokes Rabbi and Rabbi Nos. Okay, continues the next Mishnah. Makadesh is B'tei Stam. A fellow walks over to a man, he says, look, I have many daughters, and I'll be Mekadesh one of my daughters to you. Sure, Mazel Tov. But he didn't identify, he didn't name her by name. We don't know which one it is. And he has young ones, he has old ones. Ein haboigres bichlal. The older ones are not included. The ones that are, super adults, past 12 and a half. And the reason is because they're not Bershusay. As she says, Eina Bershusa Avlakacha. Father can be Mekadesh young daughters, even without being asked by that daughter. But Gdoila, she's not under his jurisdiction regarding Kiddushin. We assume it's not included in the deal. No worries there. What if he has two sets of daughters from two wives? So he married Rachel, had a set of daughters. Let's say 3 daughters from Rachel. She passed on. He married Leah. And he has another set of daughters. So Rachel's daughters are the older ones, and Leah's daughters are the younger ones. I should really go the other way. He married Leah first, and had a set of kids, and then he married Rachel. The younger set came from Rachel, the older from Leah. He has 2 sets of daughters from 2 wives. V'amar, he says like this. I'm all confused. I remember that I was Mekadesh my biti gdoila, an older daughter, but now I forget which one. Ve'eni yadeh, I'm not sure. Im gdoila shebegdoilas, is she the oldest of the older bunch, or gdoila shebegtanus, or the oldest of the younger bunch, or gdoila shebegdoilas, or the youngest of the older bunch? Why would I even call her a gdoila? Because relative to the younger bunch, she's the oldest. She gdoila because she's older min gdoila shebegtanis than the oldest of the younger set. This fellow's all confused. Kulan asurais, chutz min aktana shebektanis. Divrei Meir. According to Meir, there's a major suffix. All his daughters are presumed to be suffix mekudashis, except for the youngest of the young, which certainly is not considered gdela, and certainly was not included in this deal. Rabbi Yehuda, no, a person will not allow himself, will not submit himself to all kinds of uncertainties. And when he said gdela, most probably he meant the one that's clearly a gdoila, lest it create confusion and mix-up, and therefore rest assured everybody's okay, except for the oldest of the oldest bunch, who is, clearly the gdoila, and only she's mekudeshes. Now, in similar fashion, he claims to have been Mekadesh's younger daughter. Now, younger daughter, young can mean anything. I'm not sure which one it was. Was she the youngest of the youngest group? or the youngest of the older group, or the oldest of the younger, who's younger than the youngest of the oldest. Kulan asurais, everybody's included in the Isser, except for the oldest of the old, which is certainly not called Ktana. Why would he call her Ktana? We limit the Isser, Kulan matarais, except for the youngest of the young, everybody's mutter. Okay, let's focus on the first part of the Mishnah first. Who's Makadash's Bitay without naming her? He has Ktanos, he has Doilos. We say, well, the oldest ones, the Boigers, the adults, are not included. Because, as we explained, they're not in his Rishus to be Makadash. But, Ha Ktanos Bechlal. But assuming he has a few younger daughters, they're all included, and basically, there's a suffix on all of them, and they all need to get, despite the fact that this is called Kiddushin She'ein Mesur and Labiyah. There's no option of moving ahead and marrying these Ketanis, because you can never take anyone, because maybe she's a sister of my real wife, the other one. And still we say the Kiddushin is Chal, which necessitates a get. Shamas we know, we can see from here, Kiddushin She'ein Mesur and Labiyah, have a Kiddushin. Even a Kiddushin could not lead to phase 2, to interaction as married. There's no Nisun option. It's still a valid Kiddushin, which necessitates a get. That's a big question. We had a machlekes by Rava back on Daf Nun Aleph, and we paskened like Abaye. In any case, this is going to be a raya to that shita. No, Hacham my Skinner was speaking that he doesn't have multiple daughters. The Kishain Sham El Gdoilo Ketana. He has one Gdoilo and one Ketana. He's Mekadesh Stam. He doesn't know. We say the older one is not included, and the Ketana is. There's only one choice. There are no two sisters that are vying for this Kiddushin. G'dayla is out, and all you have left is one Ketana. And therefore it's Kiddushin, Shemisur and Labiyah. What do you mean? The Mishnah relates to it plurally. V'baygrois Ketani, right? Which sounds like there are many. Baygrois and Ketanis. No, my Baygrois, Baygrois the Alma. It's just a way of mode of speech, This type of situation found anywhere would create this halacha. But of course we're speaking that he only has one Baygeres and one Ketana. Well, if that's the case, Pshita. Baygeres, my Avidatayu. If that's the case, then it's a very simple, obvious case. He has one Ketana, one Gedela. Here's Mekadesh Tam. We say, well, the only option is the Ketana. Obviously, Baygeres, my Avidatayu. Why would you assume that the Baygeres is included? He doesn't have Rishus to be Mekadesh Gedela. So, why would the Mishnah come to teach us such a simple halacha? No, Hacham my Skin was speaking to Shavise Shliach. The G'dayla made him a Shliach. Says, Papa, be Mekadesh me. So he was authorized. He had a choice. He can be Mekadesh Diktana, for which he doesn't need an appointment, or he can be Mekadesh G'dayla, for which he was empowered and authorized. So Chiddush of the Mishnah is Ma'al perhaps I would say Ki Makabel Kiddushin Adayta Doka Makabel. That since he was asked by his older daughter to take care of her Kiddushin, so in fact, when he approached his husband and was Makabel Kiddushin, it was for her sake. Kamashman, the Chiddush says no. Comes the Mishnah and says, Lo Yishavik Inish. A person would not forego an opportunity. Midi the Isle Hanomine to accept Kiddushin for his young daughter, which gives him benefit, because he keeps the money. Right? When he's Makadesh Kiddushin for his young daughter, he keeps that money. It's part of his zechus. So he wouldn't forego that opportunity. Va'avad Midi the Leslie Hanomine and choose to be Makadesh's older daughter, for which he gets no benefit. He doesn't keep the Kiddushin. So that's the point of the Mishnah. Well, who says you're not going to keep it? Who says we're not speaking? The Amrlay, where the older daughter asked him to A, Mekadesher, and B, keep the Kiddushin. Keep it for the effort. Kiddush Hailach. So who says that it provides no benefit? And why would he prefer the younger one? Afik Luach still says the Mishnah. There is a reason why he would. Lo Yishavek Inish. Mitzvah. The Rami Alei, a person would not forego the opportunity to attend to a mitzvah, which is his primary obligation, which is marrying off his young daughter who can't do it on her own. He feels responsible. He feels that it's a personal mitzvah. He would do that first. That's first priority, rather than doing va'avid mitzvah l'rami alei, and do a mitzvah for his older daughter, which isn't really his primary obligation, because she has her own das. If she wants, she can kaddish herself. So, the assumption is, if there was a choice between older and younger, it probably was Makadish the younger, as per the Mishnah. Now we proceed to the case of the two groups of daughters. And the Mishnah cites two examples of an identical case. He claimed Mekadesh Tekdoila, Machlokes Rabbi Yossi and Ramir. He claimed to have been Mekadesh Tektana, same type of Machlokes. Utzricha, so why discuss both scenarios? Says the Gemara, there is something to be learned from each. Had we only discussed the first case of the Gdoilis, I would think, well, Bahach, Kamer of Meir. Perhaps it's specifically over here that Meir says that, you never know who's the Gdoila. Could be anybody from the top all the way to the very bottom, except for the last one on bottom. You know why? The Kivan the Ikazuchu Mina. Because the term Gdoila is a proud term. My older daughter, oh, my big girl. So since there's somebody below her, younger than her, Lahach Gdoila Karila, it's very probable that he called her the older one, even though she's like, ninth on the list. Doesn't matter because she's older than the 10th one. So it's all relative. So it makes sense that Rameir would consider them all part of the suffix. Aval Baha, but in the second case, where he was Mekadesh Ektana, that's not necessarily the most complimentary term. Oh, my little one, right? But perhaps all would agree to Rabbi Yossi the Ktana, that when he uses the word Ktana, he means the youngest of the young. Lahach Ktana the Kulu Karila. He only calls her Ktana if she's the youngest of the whole crew. In which case there's no suffix except for the youngest one. So that's why we have to mention the second case as well. You should know, even here, Meir says, you never know. Maybe the word Tana is, again, relative, and, it can apply to anybody on the list except for the oldest of the old. And the same in reverse. If we only discuss case number 2 of the Ktanis, Baha, Kam Rabbi Yossi, there Rabbi Yossi says, you got to worry about everybody. Aval Bahach. Sorry. Over here Rabbi Yossi says, don't worry, except for the youngest of the young, because probably that's what he meant when he said the young one. Aval Bahach, but in the first case, where he used the Lashon G'doila, which is perhaps an expression of pride. Oh, my big girl. And perhaps there everybody would agree to Rabbi Meir. You never know who he meant. Eima Moidi Leil Rabbi Meir. Perhaps even Rabbi Yossi would agree to Rabbi Meir Tzricha. That's what we mentioned in both cases. The same difference of opinion applies in both situations. And what's the machlekes based on? Lemeimer, shall we say? The Rabbi Meir Savar, or Meir holds, a person uses ambiguous expressions, hoping and praying that he'll remember what he had in mind, which of course he didn't this time, and therefore you never know what he meant. When he said Gdoila, he could have meant this, could have meant that, and he would submit himself to a situation of uncertainty, basically relying on his brains that he'll remember. Like Gdoila meant, the third one on the list. So basically it could be anybody. All options are open, and therefore the suffix applies to everybody. Remember the Rameir Savar, Machis Inish Nafshil Sveka. A person would submit himself to a confusing situation, relying on his ability to remember. Rabbi Yossi Savar, no, a person doesn't have that, overconfidence. When he speaks clearly, lest he forget what he had in mind. Machis Inish. A person would not submit himself Sveka to a confusing situation, in which case, when he said Gdoila, rest assured, he was speaking unambiguously. Gdoila means something that I cannot create confusion. Gdoila means the oldest of the old. And when he says Tana, means the youngest of the young, lest to create any confusion. Is that the machlekes? According to Rameir, a person submits himself to situations of suffix. According to Rabbi Yossi, not. But if we have a Mishnah in a Durham, which seems to set up the shitas in the reverse. This not. Hanoider Ada Pesach. A fellow gets up and says, I'm not going to have, wine or whatever. Makes a nether against a certain item, and the nether will last until Pesach. Ad HaPesach. Also, Ad Sheyagia. He must refrain until the arrival of Pesach, but not including Pesach, until Pesach. When Pesach arrives, the Isser is off. Ad Sheyehi Pesach. Until Pesach will be here, until I experience Pesach. Yehi is a totally different expression. Also, Ad Sheyetze, the Isser remains until Pesach is through. What about Ad Pnei Pesach? That's a little bit of a, in between Lashon. Ad Pnei. Pnei can mean until the face, until the Pesach arrives, until Pesach comes. Pnei can also mean, every day is like the Pnei for the day behind it. So until I experience the entire Pesach, until we're through the entire Pesach, the nether is there. So we're not sure. Rav Meir Omer, Asur Ad Sheyagia. Asur Ad Sheyagia. It only lasts until Pesach, and that's it. A person will not allude to something which is confusing. And since Pnei can mean until or including, it's an unknown. Therefore, we assume he was being clear cut, and he meant until the Pesach and not through the Pesach. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, until the entire Pesach is experienced. Because, you never know what he had in mind. And it's very likely that he meant, Pnei means the entire Pesach. So bottom line, here we see that Rav Meir avoids suffix, and Rabbi Yehuda says you never know maybe what he meant, even though it's a confusing expression. Maybe he meant it, which is just the opposite, exactly the reverse of our sugya. Amar B'chanin bar Avdimi, Amar Ravi, right? Let's flip around the names. Mechlefes Ashita. Let's switch the names around in that Mishnah in Nedarim, which will line them up to our Mishnah in Kiddushin, Vatanya. In fact, we have a brisa which supports this name switch. Zaklal. This is the formula going with Nedarim. Kol shezman kavua. If he relates to an event which is, set in time, like a Yom Tov of Pesach, v'amar at Pnei, and he says until the Pnei, until the whole Pesach is through, because even though there's an element of uncertainty in terms of what he meant, we assume it's included. Until the Yom Tov arrives, not past, because a person would not submit himself to confusion, and we just take what's clear cut until the Yom Tov, and that's it, which perfectly lines up with our sugya. Amar Abai, one more thing to know. Machlokes b'shtei kitei bonis. Let's just focus in the meantime on one of these cases. G'dola. I was mekadesh my g'dola. I'm not sure. The real older one, the middle older one, relative older one, right? That's Rabbi. Rabbi says not to worry. It's only pertaining to one, the real oldest. Machlokes b'shtei kitei bonis. It's only when he has two groups of daughters. Aval b'kat achas, divrei kol g'dola mamish, katana mamish. Emtzois b'shma korila. When do we say that practically everybody can theoretically have been labeled as the g'dola? That's when we have two groups. So, everybody, all members of the older group, of the older bunch of daughters, perhaps were called g'dola, every one of them. Even the youngest of the oldest bunch, because she's older relative to the younger bunch. Aval b'kas achas. Let's say this fellow would only have one set of kids. One wife, one set of kids. 3 daughters. Oldest, youngest, and middle one. Let's call them 1, 2, and 3. 1 is the oldest, 2 is the middle one, 3 is the youngest. Says Abaye, Aval b'kas achas, divrei kol, all will agree. There's no machlekes. That when he says the word g'dola means mamish. Means number 1, the oldest one. Ketana, when he says ketana, means mamish, literally the youngest one. Number 3, emtzois. Because if he has any reason to relate to the middle one, he would call her by name. Mishma Kari, they would say, Asti. Doesn't call her g'dola or ketana. Why would he? Number 1 is the g'dola. Number 3 is the ketana. She's her name. It's only when he has two groups of daughters. Then we say, look, any member of the older group can theoretically be related to as a g'dola because she's older relative to the younger bunch. But if there's only one group of kids, this rationale doesn't apply. That's Abaye's chiddush. Amar Rav Ada bar Maslan Abaye. 1 second. Elami Ata, if that's the case, we'll take on your line of reasoning. I have a kash. And Tzois, the middle member, Shebekas Shniya Tishtari. Fine. We have two groups. The entire older group can perhaps have been called Doila because, like we said, it's relative to the younger group. But what about the younger group? Let's assume there are, let's say, 3 members there, right? So the oldest of that younger group, let's call it number 1, is perhaps a G'dola because it's the oldest of the bunch. But according to your Chiddush, why is the middle member of that younger group included in the suffix? Why would I call her a G'dola? Relative to whom? You're telling me within the same group, there's no relativity. Right? So the middle member of the younger group in any case should be mutter, when the Mishnah seems to say otherwise. There's a suffix g'dayla regarding everybody except for the youngest of the young, but everybody otherwise is a possibility of a g'dayla. You're right. Hacham my skin and Mishnah speaking, there is no middle member to their younger group. The young group only has two members, older and younger. Because you're right, if there would be a middle member, that middle member would not be a suffix g'dayla. And in fact, the wording of the Mishnah would indicate as such that group number 2, the younger group, has no middle member. Because if there was a middle member there, the Mishnah would mention it. When the father articulated all his confusion, I'm not sure if it's the oldest of the oldest, if the oldest of the young. He would say, and I'm also not sure if it's the middle one of the youngest group, which will bring out a chiddush that even on her we have a suffix. The fact that he deleted that, possibility. He didn't bring up that option. Apparently she doesn't exist. Says the Gemara, one second. The fact that the Mishnah deletes it indicates non-existence. According to your contention, the Mishnah makes no mention of the middle member of the older group either. It says, I'm not sure if she's the oldest of the oldest, the youngest of the... It doesn't say anything about the middle member of the older group. So apparently we're not going through every little option here. He doesn't have to, go through all the names. He gives a general presentation, but it's assumed that he means everybody who's included in the uncertainty. According to you, the middle member of the older group, who, even according to Abaye, is included in the suffix because relative to the younger group, she can be considered a g'dayla. She's certainly asr. And the Mishnah makes no mention of her, miktani la. So apparently, non-mention does not indicate non-existence. You can't compare the 2 points. Omission of mentioning the middle member of the older group doesn't raise any flags. Because once he relates to the youngest member of that older group, Isura, that she's asur, because relative to the young group she's a g'dayla, then it's pretty obvious that somebody above her in the ranks, the middle member of the older group, who's older than the younger member of that older group, of course the one older from her is certainly included in the Isra. Right, the Mishnah mentions that there's a possibility that the g'dayla is perhaps the top of the first group, the bottom of the first group, who's relatively older than the second group. And of course, it's pretty obvious that anybody above her in the ranks, i.e. the middle member of that older group, is of course included in this discussion. So there's no need to mention every single girl. But regarding the middle member of the younger group, which was the point of Kasha on Abaye, if she would exist, that's a chiddush. Nisnai, the Mishnah should point it out. Because, according to Abaye, she would not be included in the Isra of g'dayla. Right? The Emtsois would not be included if she's of the younger bunch. So if she exists, the Mishnah should mention it. So this proves Abaye's point. Of course she exists. And we don't mention her because she's not included in the Isra. This is in line with Abaye that relativity is only between groups. But the middle member of the younger group is not called a g'dayla on all accounts, because he wouldn't call her g'dayla. The oldest of the group he would say g'dayla, the youngest katana, the middle one he would call her by name. You don't say relativity within the same group. Amli Rav Huna, Breder Rav Shul Rava. I have a kasha on Abaye ha-Pesach. Let's go back to that neder with Pesach, right? He said Pnei Pesach. Now Pesach is one grouping of days. It's like one group of girls. It's like one set of banos. And still we have the same machlekes in terms of how to relate to his lashon. The chikas achas, dummy. It's like one set. Upligan, there's a machlekes, a straight out machlekes between Rebbe who says, well, Pnei, at Pnei Pesach. Maybe it's Pnei because, not because Pnei is the face, the arrival. Pnei means the first day of Pesach is the face of the second day. Second day precedes the third day. So we see that there is a concept of relativity within the same group. That's a kasha on Abaye. Amalei responded, no, it's a totally different context. There it's a question of semantics. Hasam belishan of the Alma Kamifgit. Machalik says, how people speak. Ma'ar Savat Pnei Pesach. Rabbi Yossi says, when you say Pnei Pesach, I mean the arrival of Pesach. At Kamei Pesach, until Pesach comes, and that's it. Ma'ar Savat the Mifni Pesach. Rabbi Meir says, At Pnei means until the Pesach is Panei, it leaves. Until we experience Pesach, until Pesach is through. And therefore the neder lasts until the end of Pesach. That's a totally different discussion, which is not related to Abaye's Chiddush. Okay, so to summarize, we have one Mishnah, another, and then another. In the first Mishnah, fathers believed, Kiddashti Spitik Tana, or Kiddashti V'gerashtio, according to Rav Ashi's Pshat, it's based on a pasuk, which gives them ne'emanos only regarding these things, not regarding other things. Next Mishnah discussed a husband declaring his wife either liable to Yibum or not liable to Yibum, according to Abaye's approach. As long as not changing any statuses, he's believed. We had a Brisa where he's believed because he has Mali L'Shaker, because he can give her a get to change her status and make her pata from Yibum. The question is, how solidified is that statement? How etched in her record does it become? Can it be undone or not? That's Machlekes Rebbe and Reb Nosson. The next Mishnah with two parts. In part number one, his Makadosh B'Tei Stam, we assume it's the Ketana, not the Begeres, despite the fact that he was having enough from the money because it's his priority to the Makadosh the Ketana who has no das. In the next situation, we had two groups of daughters, Gdolos and Ketanois. He was Makadosh Egdolah is not sure, or Makadosh Ketana is not sure. According to Rameir, we have confusion reigning. According to Rabbi Yossi, Loi Machas Inish Nafshel Esfek, a person who will not submit to confusion. When he said Gdolah means the oldest of the old. And likewise, when he says Ketana, the Ketana Sheba Ketanois, rest assured the other ones are spared any hardship. But Abaye's Yisoid that relativity is only between two groups. Within the same group, there is no concept of relativity, and we proved it from the Lashon of the Mishnah. Hatzlacha Rabbi to you, all the best to you, and B'suras Tevei.